to Full Incense. My name is Jericho, and today I'm joined by CyannSentry, and we're going to review Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Hello.
So, we just got home from seeing the movie. What are your thoughts, just initial thoughts right off the bat?
Okay, so basically I wasn't that impressed. It was pretty good. It had a lot of good things about it, a lot of good moments, but it could have been so much better.
Yeah, the way I described it to you was, it was an 8 out of 10 movie that I've been dying to see forever, wrapped inside a 3 out of 10 movie that I wish I had never seen.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
For everything it did that I liked, it did lots that I did not like. Okay, so before we go any further, total spoiler warning. We're going to spoil the entire movie because there's really no way to talk about it otherwise because, you know, basically the whole plot is important and is a spoiler. Okay, so Batman kills people a lot. That's just, it's just not even a thing to him in the movie, and I don't like that very much.
Like, he's not, as far as on-screen, flat-out point and shoot gun killing people, but he is causing a lot of death, and for the whole point of this movie and his motivation in this movie being that he wants Superman to not kill people, it really is hurt from that.
Right, and you know, some of it is like the classic, like, okay, well, I'm just not going to save you. It's not really like that he's murdering people, but there's other times like he stabs a guy in the chest.
Yeah.
Like
and he keeps like, well, he'll reach around some thug who's holding a gun and use the other guy's hand and other guy's gun to shoot a whole bunch of other thugs around. So it's not like, I guess he's justifying that because he's not the one actually physically pulling the trigger.
Right, but it's just like a middleman. It doesn't. Like, I just don't. So if they had established from the beginning that this is a totally different kind of Batman, he doesn't. If he thinks that that's what needs to be done to help, you know, for the greater good, is to kill people,
like more of a Punisher sort of thing.
I wouldn't be crazy about it, but I could get my head around that, you know.
But the fact that he says one thing and does a completely other thing, it just didn't work. And I felt like the movie really, really suffered in the editing room. It had a lot of moments that were really choppy and just, I don't know, it just felt just disconjoined and I don't know, it was just weird and
so this is another one. This was another one of those movies where, you know, there were reports during and after the filming that, you know, they had to make concessions for time or whatever, what have you, and you could really feel it in this. And apparently the Blu-ray is going to have like an extended edition, like the Lord of the Rings movies, and you know, maybe that'll fix some of it. But it's already such a long movie, and it's a slog too. It's not like
it went on so long. Like,
a movie being too long has never been an argument that I really get on board with, because I mean, we just used the example of Lord of the Rings. Like, that's fine, I don't mind sitting through. I'll watch them all in a row. I've done it on multiple occasions. It's just what you need to tell the story. But how many times do we need to see the Waynes go down in an alley? And then the opening sequence, which was, I thought, one of the strongest parts of the movie, was basically, you know, the first 15 minutes of this were a rehash from Batman's point of view of the last 15 minutes of Man of Steel, which itself felt long and bloated. So, I mean, and like I said, I mean, it was a really good sequence, but I don't know.
To me, that one didn't feel too long, because I, for one, did not really remember all too well what happened in Man of Steel. I wasn't that big of a fan of that movie either. Like, it was well done for what it was, but it's still, at its core, just a Superman movie, and I don't really care about Superman, so...
Yeah, I guess I agree with that, because it's... I mean, yeah, that sequence itself didn't really feel, you know, unnecessary or part of the blow. Yeah. But when you go back and look at it as a movie, you know...
It did go on long, yeah.
Right, and since I had already seen that 15 minutes, as good as it was, it made, you know, the other 15 of filler later on even worse.
Right.
And you know, there's so many, you know, dream sequences. It was just confusing and disjointed. I mean,
yeah, a lot of dream sequences, a lot, and they were weird and just... They didn't help drive the story. Like, I guess they kind of fueled Batman's I don't want to call it psychosis, but his like obsession maybe with what he was doing.
Yeah, I would say 100%. His nightmare, which was hinting. So the big nightmare, the biggest of the dream sequences, was seen in a lot of the trailers already. So it's called the Nightmare with a K because it's Batman. So he sees a giant Omega symbol carved into the ground and some of the Apocalypse soldiers, which are all Apocalypse spelled really weird, which are both the signs of Darkseid, who is basically like Thanos for DC. Thanos is who the entire MCU has been building towards for all these years, with the different Infinity Gems are for his the Infinity Gauntlet, which grants him power, like unlimited power. So DC's doing the same thing with their version of him, with their, the most deadly big bad they have, which is Darkseid, and that's fine. But so Batman, the great planner, he had a nightmare about a monster, so now he wants to kill Superman. And I would say that was his biggest motivation. Like, so he has his fears. I was saying to Cyan before we started this on the way home, the crux of this movie of Batman doesn't like Superman because he doesn't like what his power could represent. That's good. That's good. That makes sense because Batman is the planner. Batman needs to know that things are safe because, he's a tireless defender of Gotham, and he has to have everything. That's like his biggest fault, is he's obsessive about the safety of Gotham. Mm-hmm. And like his line to Alfred, it was one of my favorite parts of the movie because it matches the character so well, was like, if there's even a 1% chance that he could not have our best interests at heart, I'm paraphrasing, but then we have to assume that that's it, that we have to take it as an absolute certainty. And that's cool. That's totally Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was the core of this movie that I really liked, was all the Batman versus Superman stuff, definitely including the fight.
The fight was great.
Yeah, that was the fight I've been waiting for. I have no complaints at all. There was, lots of amazing moments. I thought they did a good job of sharing. Like, it wasn't just Batman destroying him the whole time.
Right.
So if you're wondering, hopefully you would see the movie before you watch a spoiler-filled review, but so basically Batman has a kryptonite gas that he can spray Superman with. So for most of it, Batman's able to be the aggressor because he has, the Dark Knight Returns armor. So while Superman is under the effects of this kryptonite gas, he really can't do anything to Batman.
Right.
So that fight was awesome, but my biggest problem with the movie, and I think you somewhat disagree, was the character of Lex Luthor, because to me, his motivations don't really make a lot of sense. And even if they do, like, we talked about it a little bit before.
Yeah.
Why don't you go into some of that?
Well, I have a lot to say about him, so you finish.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, even if I meet the movie, in my opinion, more than halfway on what his motivations are, then the way he chooses to carry them out certainly doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of always a fan of the manic, crazy sort of villain. Mm-hmm. Like, I love the Master in Doctor Who. I love the Joker. I love any character like that that's just kind of having a lot of fun being the bad guy. I'm probably gonna like him, and that's kind of what he was. But he also had just these layers to him where he had that manic, happy, laughy, giggly kind of crazy, but then he also had this right under the surface level of like insecurities and tics and just weird little things that he would do. Like, he kept doing this thing where he would almost touch things or people but not quite.
Yeah, that was
and
cool.
He just kind of hovered and like seemed like he wanted to interact or do something, but he couldn't or wouldn't for whatever reason. And that's really interesting. That was, I don't know if that was a direct choice or if that was just how it happened or what, but that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, when you mention it, I can picture that happening a couple of times. Like, I think it's the senator lady, like he almost touches her head and stuff. And
that was like one of the most obvious ones, but he did it a lot, like on desks, or just watch for it next time you watch it, if you do watch it again. And that's really interesting. I want to know Jesse Eisenberg's reasons for doing that. And
that's I'm sorry, before you move on, like, that's cool too, because when he is directly threatening the senator, the movie makes a big point and really zooms in and shows like he's drumming his hands on the desk very purposefully. So it's like, that's, I don't know, like a different side to it.
The impact. And,
well, now I like him.
And I mean that too, the drumming and the tapping, and he kept doing that kind of thing, like tapping his fingers on the glass that he was holding, things like that. That's the other, even deeper layer of crazy, with the compulsions and just the it seems like a lot of times somebody with severe neuroses will have like this comfort in rhythm, and they'll drum or they'll tap or they'll twirl their hair or they'll do something, and that was interesting to me too. As far as his motivations, he made a couple of offhand remarks about his dad, or just something in his past that he wasn't happy about how it happened. He didn't like his childhood, blah blah blah. So I feel like, to him, Superman is the god that betrayed him, and that's why he wants to destroy Superman. He wants the power that he didn't have as a kid. He gained all this power and wealth and everything else to get power, but it wasn't enough because there's still this god figure running around in a cape saving people. But now he's got this excuse of these people are dying, so he must be a bad guy. See, I knew this whole time. I can be the one that takes him over. So he's going after Superman, aka his god, because he's mad about just basically his life. He's mad at God, so he takes it out on Superman.
Him having an inferiority complex with Superman has definitely been a part of the character for a long time, and I mean that is all cool. Like I like all of that, but I shouldn't have to be convinced that I like him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it was weird, like a strange departure from the usual Lex Luthor, who's usually more straight-laced businessman kind of thing. But I mean, we get a lot of that now. Like, that's kind of become an archetype, and I guess so is the manic thing. But
yeah, I mean, that's how Magneto is. That's how Loki is.
I've been watching a lot of Daredevil, and I'm getting all that crazy but regular businessman thing from Kingpin. So
it's nice to.
Yeah, it's nice to get something that's a little different. Even though, I mean, I know, again, it's kind of also another archetype, but nothing that I have personally been watching lately, so it's cool.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, presumably he's going to share the screen with Joker in a later movie, so how will the interpretation of Joker be different, to compensate, so he's not too similar to the way that they're doing Lex.
Right.
Or, I mean, or the Riddler. The Riddler could just as easily be done like that. That's really who we had the most in common with, to me, because Joker, like, what makes Joker Joker in a lot of ways to me is like the sadism.
Yeah.
And he didn't really show any of that. He didn't, like, derive pleasure from what he was doing.
No.
It was just what he felt he wanted or needed to do.
Yeah, and mostly needed. I felt like he really felt like he was doing what he needed to do.
Right.
Not necessarily for the good of anybody or anything, but that was his drive. It was his need.
So so we talked about Batman and Lex. What about Superman? I did not really like him in this movie. I thought
I never do, though.
Well, he's just
boring. He's just boring. He's too good. He doesn't have any real big internal conflicts. He doesn't have any real flaws. He's just boring.
To me, that all is of course like 100% true, but I saw the flaw in him that a lot of people say in Batman, that the only thing that makes Batman interesting is playing off his villains. But in this, it was Superman that just had nothing to do and was just like reacting to how the world was reacting to him. Like he didn't have a say or a care about anything that was going on in the world. It was just, okay, this is my life now.
Yeah.
I guess this is what's gonna happen.
But I mean, at least Batman has the struggle of being a superhero without the actual powers. Like he had to work for it all. He had to train and do everything else. But Superman, I've used this comparison before, but he's just a jock who happens to be from another planet, and because he is from another planet, he happens to have these powers.
Right.
And he lucked into it, and it just doesn't do it for me.
So you say he lucked into it, but he was out of luck in this movie because in the climax, he gets killed.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? So basically, Batman is about to kill Superman with a spear made of kryptonite. And he stops because he realizes that Superman is only fighting him for the sake of, to save his mother, Martha. And there's this big, like, revelation that their mothers were both named Martha, which, was okay, whatever. But, so then...
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was done well.
Yeah.
So then Superman uses the spear later on to kill Doomsday, which was Lex's other plan. And he dies in the process because he's, at the epicenter of the explosion of Doomsday being destroyed.
He has to be the big self-sacrifice.
Right.
Because once again, God stuff.
Right, yes.
Stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely no coincidence that it's, came out on Good Friday that, God was probably said in the movie more often than Superman.
Right.
Well, I guess we kind of went too fast. Okay, so Lex pits Batman versus Superman because he wants to defeat Superman. He wants to destroy him, like you said, because he wants to destroy God, and that's all well and good. Also, he is experimenting on the dead body of General Zod, who was the main Kryptonian bad guy from Man of Steel, and uses the World Engine, which is the ship that they were going to try to terraform Earth with, to turn General Zod into Doomsday. Now, why he made Batman and Superman fight each other, running the risk of them actually being on the same side, which is what happened, when he had the better plan of Doomsday in the wings, is anybody's guess.
I think he was just buying time with that, thinking back.
Yeah, could be.
Because he had to wait, that's why he set that time limit for when he was going to kill Martha, is he had to wait for Doomsday to be ready.
Why did you say that name?
Yeah. So, I'm not bothered by that.
So, once Doomsday shows up, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all show up to fight him together. And at the end of it all, Superman sacrifices himself, like he said. And it's okay, whatever. It is kind of expected. The whole movie, especially with the appearance of Doomsday, and we've known that Doomsday was going to be in the movie for a while because he was in some of the trailers. So the movie was basically The Dark Knight Returns and The Death of Superman squashed together. So it was no big surprise. What was a surprise to me is they already teased him coming back to life when at the end of the movie they show, his casket or whatever, and dirt on top of it starts to float or whatever. So he's already, we know, it's a superhero movie. Superman's not just going to be dead. There's never going to be a Superman movie again. But you couldn't even, it wasn't even an after credit scene. It was just immediately. They had barely even left. Because Lois drops the dirt on his casket, and then it happens right after that. She barely missed it. So
I have one cool thing to say about the casket. I really appreciated the 2 consecutive funerals happening for Clark Kent and for Superman.
Yes.
And the caskets. If you look at the government issued one, it was sleek and black and had the Superman logo embossed on the front, and it was just really pretty and gorgeous. And then you go to Smallville where they're burying Clark Kent.
It's like a handmade wood-hewn
wooden pine box, simple as could be. And I thought that was just a really cool little detail.
I didn't really think of that, but I like that too. That is cool. I don't know, because the movie, it just does so many things right that this my opinion has come off way more negative than I mean, because the stuff it does right, it does really, really well.
I'm not sad that we went, but I'm just lamenting that it could have been better.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, though.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was awesome.
She was really great. I just wish she had more to do, because she pretty much was just a mysterious lady that you don't really hear the name of. You don't really know what's going on at first for most of the movie, and then all of a sudden she just kind of swoops in to help save the day at the end, which she does wonderfully. No pun intended. But sorry. But even so, it just like I just want to see more of her. So Wonder Woman movie, please, DC.
So it seemed to me that they felt obligated to put Lois in the movie, and if they could have given most of her stuff to Wonder Woman, and I think that would have solved both problems. Because Diana could have been the one, you know, exploring and worrying about LexCorp.
Right.
Because she was anyway.
Yeah.
So in the movie, Lex Luthor essentially has blackmail on her because he has a picture of her from 1918 looking the exact same, so proving that she is, you know, a metahuman, as they call it in the movie. And in that same file, there's also a clip of Flash and Aquaman, and also setting up for Justice League.
Cyborg. I got so excited. I love Cyborg. That was really.
Yeah, that was
my favorite moment in the movie. That 10-second clip.
So anyway, so since she's exploring them anyway and investigating them anyway, I think it would not have taken a lot to just give all of Lois Lane's stuff to her, and that way she could have been more of a character, and you didn't need to have Lois just
look, Krypton
kind of being there. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like in the movie.
Yeah, they could have easily, because she was apparently some sort of like heiress, or I don't know, some somebody wealthy, whoever. I guess was she even? Did they ever say the name Diana?
They say Miss Prince,
okay,
but I don't know if they ever say Diana. So she's supposed to be the
same alter ego then. So I guess she's supposed to be someone big and important. So they could have easily had her in all of the Lex Luthor stuff, even as like one of his executives or something. But yeah, they just, I guess they had Amy Adams just kind of on the hook for it, so they figured might as well use her. Yeah. I don't care for Lois.
No, and I don't care for Amy Adams either. I mean, she does okay.
She's okay.
Serviceable would be the word I would choose.
She's a cute little person, but this isn't a good role for her, and
no, not at all.
It's a hard role to do in her defense, because it's just an easy role to make like overly tough, to seem like she's ever compensating, or to make her just a useless damsel. Right. Which she was in this.
Definitely.
Her biggest thing in the whole movie was taking the kryptonite spear and throwing it in a pond, which she then realized this was a mistake when they needed it for Doomsday, and having to jump into the water to get it, and then she ends up needing to be rescued and doesn't actually get the spear out anyway. So that just kind of... So, yeah, we have our problems of, you know, okay, this character shouldn't do this doesn't make sense, you know, that, and then, but also there's problems like how it hangs together as a movie. It's too long, it takes too long to get going, even though it's too long overall. Tried to do way too much would be my thesis on the entire movie. That if it had been Batman versus Superman, and it had been about them finding each other, no Luthor, no Doomsday, no Wonder Woman. Tease Luthor. Just have it at the periphery. Of scenes where he's like gathering materials, or you know, just have like the fact that he is trying to import kryptonite. Yeah, have him find kryptonite for your post-credit stinger, because that's a big deal. Him having kryptonite. That's the only reason he's ever a threat to Superman, or anyone ever is. But it was Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and that's when it got unwieldy and bloated. And so overall, I still liked it. The Batman versus Superman stuff was awesome. Besides him just killing people, it's probably my favorite movie Batman. His Bruce Wayne especially was just perfect. Yeah, he was really, really good. I was unsure about his casting, but he was solid. Good job. So I've lost connection to the server, so I guess we'll go ahead and call it a wrap up this episode right here. Overall, I don't know, 7 out of 10. Not as good as any of the Dark Knight movies, but better than, of course, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to CyannSentry for joining me. Thanks for having me. And if you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any war stories. And I don't know about you guys, but we're full.